The movie begins with a scene where Father Peter enters a dark room, where Sister Magali is bound to a bed. She has been taken over by a demon named Balban, causing her face to be contorted. Upon seeing her condition, Peter insists that they must perform an exorcism as soon as possible. He then calls his superior, Father Michael, and requests his permission. However, even after not receiving permission, Peter decides to ignore his orders and proceed with the task. He sends everyone out of the room and sets up a camera to record the process. With determination, Peter prepares to confront the evil that has possessed Sister Magali. As he begins to recite prayers, Magali's bed starts bouncing in the air. However, her possession is so strong that the exorcism proves ineffective. Instead, the devil begins to undress and seduce Peter, who struggles to maintain control and continues with his prayers. Despite sprinkling holy water on her body, there is no change. Magali then partially disrobes and indulges in self-pleasure in front of Peter. After completing her act, a demonic scream echoes and Magali collapses onto the bed. Thinking he has succeeded in freeing her, Peter approaches, but Magali suddenly grabs his hand and directs it to her intimate areas. Peter succumbs to his impulses and engages in sexual intercourse with her. This impulsive action backfires as the devil infiltrates his body, leading to his possession. The narrative then fast-forwards 18 years to a prison scene, where a guard performs his usual task of collecting food trays from the cells. However, a startling event occurs as he reaches into one cell and gets 2 of his fingers bitten off by the inmate, causing a commotion. Meanwhile, Father Peter has relocated to the rural areas of Mexico, plagued by overwhelming guilt ever since the regretful incident. Consequently, he dedicates a significant amount of his time to caring for children in an orphanage. One day, while distributing food, a concerned mother approaches him and brings him to her ailing son, Felipe, who appears to be afflicted by an unusual illness. Despite Peter's attempt to heal him with holy water, the boy experiences a seizure. As a final measure, Felipe is swiftly taken to the hospital. There, Dr. Nelson examines him and discloses that 4 other children have succumbed to the same mysterious ailment. Unfortunately, neither the disease nor its remedy has been identified. Subsequently, Peter seeks solace in a church, where Dr. Nelson joins him. Peter perceives that God is penalizing him for his previous wrongdoings by causing suffering to those in his vicinity. Nelson attempts to persuade him that he was under demonic possession when the sin occurred, yet Peter maintains that it could have been prevented. Ultimately, he resolves to confess to Bishop Monsignor Balducci, believing it to be the sole path to finding inner peace. In the subsequent scene, Peter visits the bishop's residence with the intention of presenting the recorded tape of the exorcism. However, Balducci astonishes him by announcing that the Vatican recognizes him as a saint. Furthermore, he offers Peter a generous check for his orphanage. Overwhelmed by this gesture and the significant sum, Peter hesitates and ultimately chooses to withhold his confession. Afterwards, Peter is in his room, berating himself for the sin he committed 18 years ago. Suddenly he hears a scream emanating from the church. Investigating, he finds the statue of Christ absent from its usual spot. While searching, he hears crying nearby. Upon approaching, he is shocked to encounter the demonic manifestation of Jesus Christ. The entity swiftly assaults him, and at this moment, Peter startles awake from his nightmare. Not long after, a correctional officer contacts him urgently, reporting that an inmate is exhibiting highly unusual behavior. She adamantly refuses to eat and insists on meeting with him. Alarmed, Peter hurries to the prison without delay. Upon arriving at her cell, he discovers that the girl's name is Esperanza, and she has already taken the life of an officer. Observing her demeanor, Peter recognizes that she is not suffering from an illness, but is under demonic possession. The deranged girl begins to speak in a manner reminiscent of Magali from 18 years ago, indicating that she is possessed by none other than Balban. Following that, Esperanza's mother arrives at the scene, and to Peter's astonishment, she reveals herself to be Magali. In a shocking revelation, she discloses that the disturbed girl locked in the cell is also Peter's daughter. Magali implores Peter to rescue her if he genuinely seeks redemption from his guilt. During the night, Peter is once again plagued by the demonic manifestation of Jesus Christ, who starts strangling him in his sleep. However, he regains consciousness and soothes himself. The following morning, Peter visits the hospital only to receive the grim news of Felipe's demise. Felipe becomes the fifth victim of the enigmatic illness, leaving medical experts baffled about its source. Afterward, Peter consults with Balducci and provides him with a detailed report regarding Esperanza's condition. He seeks approval to conduct an exorcism on her. Balducci not only grants permission, but also calls upon another priest to expedite the process of banishing the demon. Father Michael, one of the world's foremost exorcists and the sole victor over Balban in the past, arrives in Mexico to assist with Esperanza's exorcism. Peter, overwhelmed by guilt, destroys the tape of Magali's exorcism. Flashbacks reveal his possession by Balban during the incident, forcing him into a sinful act. Despite this, Peter manages to banish the demon with relentless prayers. Presently, he confides in Father Michael about his haunting visions of a demonic Jesus Christ, prompting suspicions of Balban's influence. In the church, Camilla experiences unsettling phenomena during her prayer to Mother Mary, culminating in the statue's disappearance and her horrifying discovery of a deceased child. A possessed manifestation of Mother Mary then ensnares Camilla, leading her into darkness. Later, a possessed Camilla menaces the children, but the priests intervene swiftly, expelling the demon from her body. Michael and Peter encounter Esperanza in prison, attempting to glean information about the demon. However, Esperanza's focus shifts to seducing Father Peter, leading to a violent confrontation where she attacks Father Michael before being subdued by Dr. Nelson's sedative. Post-incident, the priests appeal to the warden for an exorcism within the prison, but face opposition due to dangerous inmates. Dr. Nelson suggests sedating all prisoners for the procedure, an unconventional yet necessary plan accepted by the priests. The following morning, they begin their tasks, with Dr. Nelson proceeding through each cell to awaken the prisoners. However, one prisoner ingeniously steals the keys and conceals them in her bed. Subsequently, they enter Esperanza's cell for the exorcism, only to be shocked by her absence. Meanwhile, Dr. Nelson discovers that all prison cells are unlocked, leaving him stunned. Before he can inform his colleagues, he is suddenly assaulted by a possessed girl. Soon after, the priests find him injured, surrounded by several possessed prisoners. Despite attempting their spells, the demons remain unaffected. The situation intensifies as the possessed form of Mother Mary arrives, prompting an attack on the priests by the prisoners. In a courageous act, Nelson sacrifices himself to impede the assailants. Capitalizing on the chaos, Michael and Peter retreat to a room and secure themselves inside. After they are alone, Michael queries Peter about the hidden sin burdening him, especially since their prayer proved ineffective against the possessed prisoners. Unable to conceal the truth any longer, Peter unveils that Esperanza is his daughter, conceived 18 years ago while attempting to rescue Magali. Shocked to the core, Father Michael deems defeating Balban and saving the orphanage kids impossible due to this sin. Despite Peter acknowledging his errors and pleading with Father Michael to perform the exorcism, the latter discloses his inability. In a grim revelation, Father Michael explains that in his previous encounter with Balban, he exchanged his soul with hers. Subsequently, Father Michael succumbs to his injuries but imparts one final advice to Peter: never make a deal with the demon. Soon after, the possessed inmates breach the door, compelling Peter to flee and seek refuge in another room where he decides to finally confess his past sin. After recording his confession, he sends the video to Balducci. Upon emerging from the room with renewed determination, Peter confronts the prisoners, showcasing newfound strength as his prayers subdue the demons. He successfully defeats Balban, even overcoming the demonic Jesus. However, his victory is short-lived as a prisoner ambushes him, rendering him unconscious. Upon regaining consciousness, Peter finds himself bound to a chair, surrounded by demons as Balban performs a reverse exorcism to extract God from him, causing intense agony. Undeterred, Peter begins reciting his holy prayers, thwarting Balban's exorcism. Meanwhile, chaos ensues inside the orphanage as the children convulse uncontrollably, and the demonic Mother Mary attacks Camilla. Peter's prayers eventually vanquish Balban, leading to a pivotal moment where Balban proposes a deal. Peter must expel God from his body to save Esperanza and the children, or else they will face dire consequences. Despite Michael's earlier warning, Peter accepts the deal, causing Esperanza to fall unconscious as the children recover. The media hails Father Peter as a saint for saving 112 children, and Balducci arrives to offer congratulations. Privately, Balducci reveals he deleted the confession video, sealing Peter's confession. He then extends an offer for Peter to work as a counselor in the Vatican, which Peter gladly accepts. It is then revealed that Peter is actually possessed by Balban, manipulating Bishop Balducci under his control with intentions to